voice of the Cayman Islands, Radio Cayman.
Shining down from above.
We love our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the Record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Wednesday, the 30th day of October 2019. I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, again, we urge you to be extremely cautious. If you're a pedestrian, if you're a cyclist, if you're operating any type of vehicle on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we urge you to observe the rules of the road and always remember that the life that you save may just simply be your own. I'm going to add to my little dialogue this morning in relation to traffic, and again, take this opportunity also to advise motorists of the presence of school buses on the roads of the Cayman Islands carrying extremely precious cargo. And bus drivers and their attendants are continuing to have problems with drivers who insist on overtaking or crossing buses when they're stopped with their lights flashing and offloading those very precious cargoes. One driver and attendant even had to endure the indignity of a person flipping the bird to them. That person flipping the bird is only displaying their abject and absolute ignorance for the rules of the road and for the safety of those persons, those children, as well as the bus wardens who are offloading those children. So again, drivers, please be careful. For those bus wardens and bus drivers who encounter such behavior, my advice to you is to record the license plate number of the vehicle, report it to the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, who are then in a position to take the necessary action. Some may ask, well, what will the result be? What can the result be? Suppose the driver says, I wasn't driving the car, someone else was driving it. Well, if someone else was driving the car, I'm sure that the police can require them to provide the name of that person who is driving the car. And if they're unable to provide a name, then you can only assume that they themselves were the driver of that vehicle. And I'm sure that there's probably case law that can assist in leading to a successful prosecution, of that individual. But we urge you, first of all, please be cautious at all times, but in particular, observe the rules of the road when school buses are stopped. I'm told by some bus operators that between the hours of about 7 o'clock in the morning, or maybe even before that, until about 8:30 in the morning, that you want to be more cautious and be aware of the buses on the road. That's in the morning. In the afternoon, anytime from the hour of 3 o'clock onward to about 4:30 again. But I am sure that the whole issue of road safety, that there must be a question on the written test that is given, and even on the driving, the practical part of the driving test as well, that the inspector would question the driver as to what would they do in a particular situation, especially when a school bus is stopped and offloading passengers. Again, if these drivers, if they have children of their own who are passengers on those buses, they would think and say, well, suppose that was my child. My child's on a bus. I expect drivers to observe the rules of the road. But for some reason, that is not happening. And the reason it is not happening, and I'm going to be extremely blunt with this, is because we have ignorant people on the roads of the Cayman Islands behind the wheels of vehicles, behind the steering wheel of vehicles. And we don't need those ignorant people on the roads of the Cayman Islands. We have people who come from jurisdictions where when they see, sometimes they only see a vehicle and they're not able to drive in it, but yet they come to the Cayman Islands and they get driver's license, and then they go on and they act in these silly and ignorant ways, and it's not limited to to those persons coming from overseas. Caymanians do the same thing as well. But my point there is that we get people who come to this jurisdiction, and other than being a passenger in the car, they have never done anything more to a car, or maybe clean a car. But yet they come here, and after a few days being on the road, practicing, they get a driver's license, and they're out there doing stupid things that are endangering the welfare and the safety of our children here in the Cayman Islands, and their children as well. It needs to stop. We can do better. It needs to stop. So that's my little peeve this morning in relation to that. I got a call this morning when I was coming in, and these bus drivers and the owners and the wardens that I spoke to, they were extremely upset. And this is not the first time that we've spoken about it, and it continues to happen. So, again, my advice, record the license plate number, report it to the police, let the police take the necessary action. I don't believe that there's an out for that person to say, well, someone else was driving the vehicle. They then need to provide the name of that person. But until we get some prosecutions in this regard, and not only prosecutions, but they need to be prosecuted, and it needs to be publicized, that is the only way that we're going to see action on it. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open during those periods, and you're welcome to join in the conversation. You can do that by calling us on our toll-free number, courtesy of Flow, that toll-free number, 534-8255. You can also call us at 949-8037 and the 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at For the Record. That is one word. For the Record at CANDW.KY. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where we encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note. And you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. If you call on those phone numbers that I've given you, then you will be welcomed by that beautiful radio voice of none other than Miss Susan Watson. We have no guests in the studio yet this morning. We know that the Legislative Assembly is in session, and today would have normally been the day that Mr. MLA, Mr. Ezard Miller, would be here. I'm not sure what time the Legislative Assembly, the proceedings ceased last night. I was listening for quite a while, and then I must admit I got a little tired of some of the debate. There was a little bit, in many instances, too much showboating, and I still wonder whether or not we're giving our members of the Legislative Assembly simply too much time to talk, whether or not they need all of that time, because they talk about all and sundry. And what they also need to realize is that they have an audience out there. Their audience is not only the speaker who's listening to them, or the members, their colleagues, members of on their side or on the opposite side, but also the listening public. And we got an opportunity to listen to you twice. We can listen to you live on Radio Cayman 105.3, and we get the opportunity also to listen to you on 89.9 when there's a replay. So people are hearing you all the time. So I just want to say to you, we're listening, we're hearing you, we're analyzing your abilities based on your presentations, and sometimes they're not pretty. And when they're not pretty, then we simply turn you off. We simply turn you off. So I did that, for a section last night as well. One of our listeners, in response to my talk about the buses, and this is a very, very good suggestion. Buses should be fitted with dash cams. Yes, have cameras, have dash cams on them. You can turn them on when the bus is stopped, and you can then record any vehicle that crosses, pick up the license plate, and report it. Folks, we have to do more than simply just talk about these issues that we're facing. We have to take action, especially with these school buses. Do not wait until another child is run over or is hit by a vehicle for us to take action. We need to take action. There's a road safety convention. I'm calling it a convention, but a conference that is taking place from the 29th until the 1st of November at the Ritz-Carlton. We had Mr. Edward Howard, the acting director of the National Roads Authority, and the transportation specialist, Mrs. Pandui, here with us on Monday, talking about the conference itself. I'm sure that this is something that will be addressed there as well, but we have to do more than simply just talk. Before I go to the commercial break, I want to talk about several things this morning. I want to talk about what's happening in the UK Parliament in relation to the new elections that are taking place. Want to take those debates and sort of compare them with what is happening here in the Cayman Islands. And you will see that in the UK, there were several amendments that were put forward to the bill calling for elections in December. And some of the issues there are quite similar to some of the issues and the requests that are being made here by some of our legislators in relation to our referendum as well. So lots for us to talk about. With no guests in the studio, this will give you, the callers, more opportunity or a better opportunity to call in and probably have a little talk a little bit longer than you're usually allowed to, because it will just simply be your host, Orrett Connor, and whoever calls in. So we want to encourage you to do that. If you do it early, you're likely to get a little bit more time as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
It is fair to say that the storm of 1932 caught the Cayman Islands off guard. Long assumed that the hurricane season finished in October, yet Grand Cayman was not hit until November 7, 1932 by the storm which would ravage the islands. Furthering the confusion was that the storm had previously passed well south of the islands before changing course and reversing to the northeast. As Captain Keith Tibbets told afterwards, none of the old sea captains would agree that it was coming here because it never had been known for a hurricane to travel on a course of east to north. After striking Grand Cayman with significant damage, including the sinking of the Balboa off of Georgetown, the storm passed directly over the sister islands, causing total havoc and catastrophic losses. Radio Cayman's Historical Facts Vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
It's time to start planning for the best family event of the holiday season, the Cayman National Parade of Lights, happening in Camana Bay Saturday, December 7th. With $4,000 in cash prizes up for grabs, now is the time to get your boat signed up. $2,000 cash will be going to the lucky winners of the small and large boat categories. Check out the Cayman National Parade of Lights Facebook page to register your boat, or email info@hurleysmedia.ky for your chance at $2,000 cash. Cayman National Parade of Lights in the Camana Bay Harbor on Saturday, December 7th, 6 to 9 p.m.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
I'm starting my shopping early this year. What you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush. Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Saturday, November 30, just before Christmas. You, yes, you can be the grand prize winner of $40,000 with your Rotary Central Music Extravaganza ticket purchase of only $25. Win that grand prize of $40,000. Second prize of $4,000, 6 $1,000 prizes, and more. Yes, Saturday, November 30, the 24th Rotary Central Music Extravaganza, Royal Palms, West Bay Road from 7 p.m. Music by Sugar Daddy, C&B, Leslie Duran, and Trio Caribe. Get your golden tickets now on sale through Rotary Central members, Rotary ticket sellers, and eventpro.ky. Every ticket funds a cause. Rotary Central, 50 community projects over 33 years. Your ticket can be the winner. Your ticket, your chance, your community. Rotary.
Congratulations, I hear the
world.
family is expanding.
Yes, our family is growing bigger, but I don't know how we're going to get around. Our old car just doesn't have enough room.
You should head over to VAT Motors and ask about the Toyota Rush. It's a 7-seater SUV with lots of room and safety features, and it's on sale for just $21,900.
Rush in to VAT Motors for the best deal of the year on the Toyota Rush SUV. Save up to $2,600 with VAT cashback and the Toyota factory rebate going on right now. Fuel efficient, stylish, roomy, and loaded with safety features. The Rush is the perfect SUV for you and your family, starting from just $21,900. Visit VAT Motors and drive your deal home today while stock lasts. Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guest in the studio. I'm sure that Mr. Miller was out and up late last night, and of course the Legislative Assembly, the proceedings continue today as well. So no guests in the studio, but we have emails coming in. We have WhatsApp messages coming in as well. Here's one that says, "Good morning, OC. You hit the right topic this morning. I'm a school bus driver. I just got off my bus and had two of those same incidents." Coming up. Two of those same incidents take place. Difficulty with my WhatsApp, so let's go to another one. This writer has written in and said, may you continue to have a good influence on the many valuable discussions. The AG's statement reported on the 7 o'clock Radio Cayman 89.9 news this morning should give us all cause to reflect some more on the referendum bill. As we always say, the Constitution is the highest court in the land, or the highest law in the land as well, and I agree with that writer. So the person says that I just got off my bus and I had two of those same incidents that you just mentioned. OC, I have reported to the police dozens of incidents. I have even called back the police to follow up on the reports, only to hear from the police that they are unable to pull up the report because the officer who is investigating it would have to call me back, which never ever happens. If you're listening at the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, please look into these matters. We do hear incidents of people who they're on bail and they go back and they're told that the officer isn't there, or the officer is on vacation, days off, or whatever. That seems to continue to happen. But this is very important. We don't want to wait until there is a fatality or a serious injury for it to happen. And for that person who did that, please follow up on it again. And if anything, ask to see a supervising officer at the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, because we have to continue to press on with this issue. Ms. Susan, we have a caller? One caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record.
Hey, good morning, Doc. How are you doing?
Not bad. Steve McFeel here. I was waiting to hear what your guest had to say this morning. Listening yesterday evening, but I didn't. But unfortunately, I'm disappointed.
Yes.
Because I think most of the controversy that is the center of the debates of the I don't know if they call them, people call them debates all the time. The center of the controversy in the legislature came from your show. Mostly came from your show. We were the ones who alerted about the question.
Yes.
We were also the ones alerted about the not only the date but also the date in the question.
Yep, and the need to have a referendum law in place.
Referendum law.
Yes.
Which one comes first? And of course, we said that the CPR people should know better. They should have their lawyers. They should go to their lawyers and ask them, because we Teresa and I have to be circumspect of what we go on to say on the radio. But it's obvious that the English lawyers are saying the same thing we're saying. What the government has done is put the cart before the horse. They cannot set the question until they have a law.
Yes.
And they cannot set the date until they have the law. Because Section 70C said the Cabinet shall set the wording of a referendum question or questions within a reasonable time period as prescribed by law.
Yes, yes.
So they set the question before the law came into effect on this date. And so that's a problem, and that's why the Attorney General last night had to get up and admit.
And walk this back, yeah.
And walk it back and admit, even though the Premier has not done so. The Attorney General has to admit, because it's going to cause a lot of problems in the courts.
Yep. Doc, I have a question for you. I was thinking, we heard several of the members of the Legislative Assembly speak to the unconstitutionality of the law based on the opinions that they had gotten. My question is, if the bill, what is in the bill is unconstitutional, why are they then contributing to that unconstitutionality by debating the bill? They should, to me, those persons who were opposed to it should have simply walked out of the Legislative Assembly and refused to debate a bill that they deem unconstitutional. What are your views on that, Doc?
Well, but it's because I don't think they have that kind of experience. On the parliamentary laws and on the constitutionality of bills, and so they were debating as if the bill was defective. In terms of his draft.
Yes.
But the bill is completely unconstitutional.
But yet some of them read from the legal opinions that were provided to them, stating that the bill as is was unconstitutional.
Well, they then should have the argument should have been not on the merits of the bill, but on but as to its withdrawal.
Exactly. Those were my thoughts.
That's what they should have been asking the speaker. They should have made a motion that the bill be withdrawn from the legislature as it being unconstitutional, ultra vires of the Constitution.
Yes.
And let the government go back to the drawing board.
Okay.
You see? Yep. So, but we don't have much. They don't have much confidence in their own homegrown lawyers. They think that because we don't have blue eyes and blonde hair, and that we were not born in the UK or some other place, that we don't know what happened. But we went to the same schools and read the same books and read the same cases.
Yeah. Well, Doc, we reached 8 o'clock and we have to go. But I have some other questions that I'm going to have as well. Hopefully, some of those. hopefully some of those MLAs are listening in, and they will call in. And
call you back if you have more questions.
Yes, definitely. Several that we want to talk about. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time by Price Right is 8 o'clock.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Sagicor. Let us put a smile on your face. Call 949-8211.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Island.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Lawmakers head back to Legislative Assembly today as the Premier is set to wind up his debate on the referendum bill before it goes to committee stage, where a big change has been proposed.
The question here is whether the procedure adopted by the government in setting the date and the question comport with the constitutional provision in Section 70.
Attorney General the Honorable Sam Bolgen told lawmakers there would be a committee stage amendment to the bill on the issue of whether the island should continue to move forward with the building of the cruise berthing and enhanced cargo port facility to remove the December 19th date as well as the ballot question itself from the bill. Cabinet would then set those in the bill's regulations.
Out of abundance of caution, Mr. Speaker, the safest way to do it, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that, where possible, the doubts surrounding this issue and thereby avoiding any issue trying to go to the court to see whether this should be tested one way or the other. Because, Mr. Speaker, in the end, not only would that be costly, it would be time consuming, and it would not be in anybody's interest, because my understanding from the debate here today is that persons are really looking forward to the referendum, which is really what this is all about.
He made the announcement during his contribution to the debate on Tuesday. And that wasn't the only big move Tuesday night.
When I sit down, I'll be moving across to sit over by the minister from Savannah. And I want to say to the Premier, thank you very much for the position you put me in. I guess if I go across there, I would probably lose the post on the PSC. But if that is so, that is so.
West Bay North MLA Bernie Bush crossed the floor of the Legislative Assembly after his contribution, withdrawing his support from government. He said there was not widespread support for the port project in his district, and he could not, quote, take a chance that I could be a part of the destruction of the environment. Premier the Honorable Alden McLaughlin appeared unfazed by his departure when moving for the suspension of the House late Tuesday night.
Mr. Speaker, the hour is late. People need to cross the floor and all things like that. So I am entirely unsurprised, Mr. Speaker.
Action continues today at 10 with the Premier winding up his debate and the bill going to committee stage. Make sure to tune into our sister station, 105.3 Breeze FM, to catch the proceedings live. Verdant Island Port Partners, the group named as preferred bidder for the Cayman Islands Cruise Berthing and Cargo Enhancement Project, held its job fair at Margaritaville Beach Resort Tuesday night. Curious locals gathered at the event to listen to representatives of the company pitch the potential of the port. Speakers urged members of the public to present their ideas for new attractions to help further invigorate Cayman's tourism and encourage them to take part in Cayman's future with new ventures. They went over logistics of becoming tour guide operators to insurance policies if they became involved. Royal Caribbean Cruise Line stressed to attendees that Cayman is very popular among customers and displayed animations of what the port would look like, as well as the drastic way it could change the face of Georgetown and Cayman's cruise tourism. 6 stalls, including local company McAlpine, were present, ready to discuss opportunities available for those interested. And the Cayman Islands Tourism Association welcomes a new executive team. More from Radio Cayman's Shanda Gallego.
CITA announces Jay Earhart as the new executive director of the association. According to CITA officials, the news follows a rigorous and extensive search for the new executive director, facilitated by Barad and a CITA select committee. Mr. Earhart takes over from Tiffany Dixon Ebanks, who served the organization since 2014. Mr. Earhart brings with him a wealth of government and private sector tourism experience to the top post at CITA. He was a reporter at Radio Cayman for almost 18 years, culminating his time there as the news director. He most recently worked in the public relations unit of the Department of Tourism, finishing with over 22 years of government service. Mr. Earhart began working in the Cayman Islands in the hospitality industry in Little Cayman in 1995 and has over 15 years of experience in the field. Mr. Earhart, who takes up the role on November 1st, says he is looking forward to working with CITA directors, members, and the government to help ensure positive visitor experiences and to help the local tourism businesses continue to thrive in this growing industry. Shanda Gallego, Radio Cayman News.
And that's your latest news. I'm Carsley Fuller.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Sagicor. Let us put a smile on your face. Call 949-8211.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Pure Art Gallery and Gifts has wonderful new gifts galore, and our beautiful Cayman Christmas corner is sure to delight with unique gifts, holiday decorations, ornaments, cards, and Debbie's 2020 desk calendars and new Cayman coloring book. Pure Art on South Church Street for gifts that last a lifetime.
Logic presents The Change Project, a campaign that highlights the reality of cyberbullying and the mental health impact it has on teens, parents, teachers, and families. Few people speak up when they witness cyberbullying, but we can change that together. We can strive to make a difference in our community by promoting responsible internet and social media use in the Cayman Islands and beyond. Will you pledge to make a safer, friendlier world online? Visit thechangeprojectcayman.com and take the pledge today. Proudly presented and supported by Logic.
Pirates Week got something for everyone. This holiday Monday, November 11th, come out to Culture Shop on Cardinal Avenue. Watch the youth snapper cook-off, learn how to make silver touch rope, blow a conch horn, and spin a gig. Local arts and crafts will be on sale, and vendors will offer up the best in traditional foods and treats. But wait, there's more. Find out who will win the District Heritage Ambassador Costume Competition and stay for the Illumination Parade and fireworks. Learn more at piratesweekfestival.com. Culture Shop, Monday, November 11, Cardinal Avenue, starting at 12 noon. Sponsored by Ministry of Tourism, Department of Tourism, Ministry of Culture, AI Rentals, Ace Cayman, the Tourism Attraction Board, Pepsi, and Cayman Distributors Group.
Also brought to you by Radio Cayman. The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Thinking of decorating your home or your apartment? Then Super Stitch is the place for all your household needs. We have sheets, comforters, bathroom accessories, curtains, and a whole lot more. We are the original curtain store with curtains for every room in the house. Some special now curtains for $10 a panel. Yes, just $10 a panel. Come see us today at Super Stitch. Super Stitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Spencer, good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 84 degrees. Relative humidity is 87%. Barometric pressure 29.92 inches and rising. The wind is east-southeast at 6 knots. Overnight low temperature was 78 degrees. Synopsis indicate isolated showers expected to continue through today as a tropical wave interacts with an upper level low over the northwest Caribbean. Light easterly winds and slight to moderate seas are also expected to continue over the next 24 hours. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area moving west. Now the forecast for today and tonight calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and possible thunder. Temperatures will be in the upper 80s today and will fall to the upper 70s tonight. Winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 11:20, low tide this evening at 5:28, and a high tide again tonight at 10:47. Sunset 5:51, sunrise 6:26, and the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Friday morning as the upper level low is expected to linger over the Cayman area and continue to support isolated showers. That's the very latest on your weather report.
Superstitch Sewing and Fabric Center was the proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Superstitch at 949-2833 or email customer care at superstitch.com.ky.
Thinking of decorating your home or your apartment? Then Superstitch is the place for all your household needs. We have sheets, comforters, bathroom accessories, curtains, and a whole lot more. We are the original curtain store with curtains for every room in the house. Some special now curtains for $10 a panel. Yes, just $10 a panel. Come see us today at Superstitch. Superstitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadena Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Can you imagine where Cayman runs off renewable energy? We can. Learn how you can join government and be an energy advocate.
Visit the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure's Facebook page to learn more.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
Saturday, November 2nd, Breeze Fusion 2019.
Are you ready? Yeah. The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run. Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run
and a 10K run for half marathon trainers.
Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCVO.
Yes, Cayman Islands, it's back. Your chance to be healthy. Your chance to give back.
Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studio.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Saturday, November 2nd.
I like to move it. You like to move it. The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Taking place at Smith Bacadere, starting at 6:15 a.m.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at what's happening on the roads. Coming from the east, a lot of patience needed this morning as you're heading down to Georgetown. Traffic is heavy on Shamrock Road, also on the Linford Pearson Highway. And coming off the Linford Pearson Highway on Agnes Way, traffic is also busy. And traffic busy in some sections of Crew Road, other sections steady traffic. Steady traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way. And looking towards Edward Street, not looking too bad as traffic flowing nicely. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, traffic is moderate and light to moderate traffic flow on Owen Roberts Drive. The usual traffic flow on Esley Tibbetts Highway. In and out of Georgetown on Shedden Road, traffic is moderate and moderate flow of traffic coming from the Westway 4-way stop. Now, if you see any accidents or incidents on Cayman's roads, give us a call here at Radio Cayman, 949-6990. Have a good morning.
You've come to love Subway's Eat Fresh menu. Let them bring it to you and cater your next important meeting or outing. From customized box lunches starting at just $6 to their famous platters, you'll love the taste and the price. Have Subway cater your next staff meeting, boat or beach outing, or birthday party. Their crowd-pleasing sandwich trays will do the trick, like the Fresh Fit platter or maybe the new double meat wrap platter. Subway has a platter to fit everybody's taste. And don't forget to add a cookie platter for dessert. Cater with Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
This referendum is bigger than the port itself. This is going to teach our people that yes, we can make decisions. We can stop roads from being closed. We can stop markets from being developed. We can get jobs. We can be trained. Never again will we be second-class citizens in our own country begging at the doors of the NAU. I implore you to come out and vote in this referendum. We can change our circumstances forever.
Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane hits. Debris includes roofing materials, downed tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles to the front of the property or at a side that is easily accessible to collection trucks. Debris must be placed in a location that will not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines. For more post-hurricane waste management tips, visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. I'm made to understand that the proceedings at the Legislative Assembly last night went on until about 10 o'clock. That means if Mr. Miller was there for the whole period, and I'm sure that he probably was, that he probably didn't get home until pretty close to midnight, and then having to prepare again for the Legislative Assembly this morning. That would be the reason why he is not in the studio with us. Before I go any further, I want to wish a special happy birthday to a very good friend living in New York, Queens, New York, Mrs. Joanne Forbes. She celebrated a birthday. I believe it was on Monday. She celebrated a birthday, so a belated happy birthday to her. And I know that she and her husband, Mr. Clarence Forbes, are listening to For the Record and Radio Cayman this morning as well. So belated happy birthday to you, Miss Joanne. I believe we have a caller on hold. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hi, O.C. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you there?
I'm good, but I see you sitting down there in the studio all alone and by yourself, almost.
Well,
like
if you can slip in if you want. You know, I think we still have parking spaces out front. I wasn't sure what was happening this morning. I figured that Mr. Miller would normally leave home early to come down for the LA. But I'm made to understand that they went on until 10 o'clock, so I didn't have advance warning this morning, unfortunately. So you can still slip in if you want.
You hear him now? But anyways, I just tuned in because I got the tail end of what Dr. McField was saying. And you see, how many months ago, OC, and how many times did we raise this for free? Yes. And let me underscore, for free on your radio show about what we are seeing going on now. So again, with our culture, we put the cart before the horse. We spend the taxpayers' money like it is growing on trees, and we don't ensure that we have our facts correct. Now, I was kind of like waiting to see how far this was going to go, because we said that to put the bill on and to do what they did. And it's not so much that the bill is flawed. The real concern is that it's unconstitutional.
Right. The sequencing of things, yes.
Exactly. And I mean, so my question is, how many times do we have to say the same thing over and over and over again before people actually sit down and listen to what is being said?
Well, Ms. T, I believe...
If the professionals that we employ to give us advice is not giving us the kind of advice that this country is deserving. Like most private sector community, you have to look into that.
Mm-hmm. But Ms. T, obviously somebody was listening because the other side took the necessary action. So somebody was listening.
Well,
I don't think that it fell on deaf ears at all.
So I am told, in fact, I was just on the phone with someone and the person said, hey, look, I take notes when you and Dr. McFeel are on the show. So I said, well, kudos to you. But I thought that I would just raise that, and not to knock anyone, because you know me.
Mm-hmm,
when we come on the show, we try to be politically correct.
Yes.
We're cautious with what we say. We don't shame anyone. But this is something that is reflective of us, and it relates to us as our people. So I mean, we really have to do better, and we have to spend the taxpayers' money a lot better and more efficiently. All right, babes. Talk to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks. Those of you who have been listening to the debate in the Legislative Assembly, either live or by rebroadcasts on Radio Cayman 89.9 FM, you would have heard the continuous use of the word mandate, the term mandate, by some of the members of the Legislative Assembly who were debating. And just want to talk a little bit about this whole issue, the term mandate, political mandate as well. And one of the definitions of a mandate is the authority to carry out a policy or course of action regarded as given by the electorate to a candidate or party that is victorious in an election. So basically, you give the authority to carry out policies to the person that you elect. You elect that person, so you have given them a mandate. You've given them the authority to carry out certain policies. Now, you've heard some legislators speak to the fact that whatever my constituency wants me to do, I will do it. And to a certain point, that is acceptable. But politicians should not use that as a shield for them making decisions that they feel also that are in the best interest of the country, despite the fact that their constituency or the majority of their constituency may think otherwise. So at some point in time, a politician has to have their own view, their own convictions, and stick to them as well. Yes, those who are thinking about the next election cycle, who are looking to be re-elected, will want to follow the wishes and dictates of their constituencies, but they shouldn't always hide behind that. That brings me to another question in relation to this referendum. We have seen and we've heard now over the news and those who followed the proceedings last night that Mr. Bernie Bush has crossed the aisle and gone over to the opposition side from the government side. Based on what I said earlier in terms of being given, politicians being given a mandate by their constituents, by them being voted into elected office, whether or not the government will allow a conscience vote to their members, any of their members who may find themselves vulnerable in another election if they were to support the government's position on this referendum in terms of their debate and their decision in terms of how they will vote on it, whether or not they will be given a conscience vote, because that will give an out for some of those politicians who may be in vulnerable constituencies as a result of the, depending on what happens with this referendum. Now, if the government clearly has the numbers to carry this referendum bill, then that's not a problem. That it will be up to the whip, the party whip, and this is where, again, we have copied things from the UK Parliament. So we have a party, I believe there is a party whip there still, possibly Mr. Harris, Mr. MLA, Mr. Austin Harris is the party whip. One of the things that they have said about Nancy Pelosi in the U.S. House of Representatives, that she knows how to count. She knows the numbers. So if the government knows how to count, then those on their side who may feel themselves vulnerable may be given a conscience vote. My question is, will they be given a conscience vote in this particular area? Okay, going back to the whole issue of mandate, right? And I talk about the individual mandate that is given to members who are elected by their constituencies. And I'm reading again from, this is Wikipedia. In politics, a mandate is the authority granted by a constituency to act as its representative, which is what I said earlier. The concept of a government having a legitimate mandate, and this is what has been brought up in the Legislative Assembly as to whether or not the government has a mandate based on the numbers of representatives that they have on their side. So it says the concept of a government having a legitimate mandate to govern via the fair winning of a democratic election is a central idea of representative democracy. New governments who attempt to introduce policies that they do not make public during an election campaign are said not to have a legitimate mandate to implement such policies. And this is an argument that some of the members of the Legislative Assembly have used in their debate. It goes on to read, elections, especially ones with a large margin of victory, and are often said to be given the new elected government or elected official an implicit mandate to put into effect certain policies. So again, I'll read that. Elections, especially ones with a large margin of victory, are often said to give the newly elected government or elected official an implicit mandate to put into effect certain policies. When a government seeks re-election, they may introduce new policies as part of the campaign and are hoping for approval from the voters and say they are seeking a new mandate. So government seeking re-election may introduce new policies saying that they're seeking a new mandate. In some languages, a mandate can mean a parliament seal won by an election rather than by electoral victory. That's really not relevant to our situation here. So a mandate, you can look at it in two different respects. One, in relation to the individual who wins an election in the constituency. They are given mandate by that constituency to act on their behalf. As regards to a government as a whole, there are many, and the wisdom on this is that if you win by a large margin, that means if you control the legislature or the government, whatever part of it, the legislature, if you control the numbers there, then by a wide margin, then you are deemed to have a mandate to proceed with those policies that you have put forward, in particular on the campaign trail and in your manifesto as well. And those of you who have listened to parts of the debate would have heard arguments being made to the effect as to whether or not the port referendum. The cruise berthing facility and that portion of it that includes the port was a part of the referendum. And again, that all comes up in the whole question, issue of the referendum question itself as well. We're going to take a commercial break. We have no callers now. What I'm going to do is that we're going to call Dr. Steve McFeel if he's available. We're going to discuss some of the more pertinent issues as they relate to what's happening in our legislative assembly as well. So after we return from the commercial break, we're going to hopefully have Dr. Steve McFeel on the line. We're going to have him on, if possible, between the next two commercial breaks. So if you're planning on calling in, please call in after we take the break at 8:45. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Congratulations, I hear the family is expanding.
Yes, our family is growing bigger, but I don't know how we're going to get around. Our old car just doesn't have enough room.
You should head over to Vamp Motors and ask about the Toyota Rush. It's a 7-seater SUV with lots of room and safety features, and it's on sale for just $21,900.
Rush in to Vamp Motors for the best deal of the year on the Toyota Rush SUV. Save up to $2,600 with Vamp cashback and the Toyota factory rebate going on right now. Fuel efficient, stylish, roomy, and loaded with safety features. The Rush is the perfect SUV for you and your family, starting from just $21,900. Visit Vamp Motors and drive your deal home today while stock lasts.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Saturday, November 30, just before Christmas. You, yes, you can be the grand prize winner of $40,000 with your Rotary Central Music Extravaganza ticket purchase of only $25. Win that grand prize of $40,000. Second prize of $4,000, 6 $1,000 prizes, and more. Yes, Saturday, November 30, the 24th Rotary Central Music Extravaganza, Royal Palms, West Bay Road from 7 p.m. Music by Sugar Daddy, C&B, Leslie Duran, and Trio Caribe. Get your golden tickets now on sale through Rotary Central members, Rotary ticket sellers, and eventpro.ky. Every ticket funds a cause. Rotary Central, 50 community projects over 33 years. Your ticket can be the winner. Your ticket, your chance, your community. Rotary, connecting the world.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I believe you have Dr. Steve McFeel on the line. Doc, good morning again. Welcome back. I want to draw some parallels to what's happening in what happened in the UK yesterday and some of the issues that were raised there. Of course, Boris Johnson, the government, was able to bring a bill because, as we know, the UK now has a fixed term parliament for 5 years. Yeah. But by a 2/3 vote of the UK parliament, they can change the date of an election and call early elections, which he did, and he set the date for those elections to be on the 12th of December. Right. Mm-hmm. Now, the opposition, there were several amendments that were put forward to that, bill, and some of the arguments. One was to change the date, and I think some of the suggestions were the 6th and the 9th, and various reasons given for that. The one that the government stuck by was that elections are always held on a Thursday, so they wanted it on that date. They prevailed at the end of the day. One of the other issues was that the opposition were seeking, and these are all for political reasons, the same that we get the arguments being made in the Cayman Islands. They wanted 16-year-olds to be able to vote. Of course, they wanted to increase the numbers of voters to give them a better opportunity. And the other one was to allow all EU citizens in the UK the franchise to vote as well. Now, currently, I believe it is only in Scotland that they are allowed, EU citizens are allowed to vote.
That's right.
But these are some of the things that they were asking there, almost paralleling some of the issues that were brought forward here in relation to changing the date. We have the issue of the sale of alcohol, and I believe the touching one, and the one that is more sensitive than anything else, is to allow those 200 plus voters who are registered and whose names will be on the preliminary list of voters that is out now, but not the official register of electors, to allow them to be able to vote as well. And I believe that one is a far stretch in terms of doing that. So let's talk about those a little bit, and you take them in the order that you want, Doc.
Firstly, what the opposition wanted was to change the whole voting system in the United Kingdom by allowing 16-year-olds to vote. Now, that itself should have been a separate bill to come before Parliament, so that all Parliament could debate it and change the voting system in the state. That would have changed the whole voting system, the voting age.
Yes.
To say the voting age. That would have to be a substantive bill to change the voting age from 18 to 16. So I don't believe that the majority of the it's obvious that the majority of the House of Commons did not want that to happen as an amendment to a bill to change the election date. And I think that prevailed, and I think that the opposition was what the opposition was wanted to do. They wanted to get all of the environmentalists, all of the young people now who is caught up into this environmentalist movement, to be able to have a say. And I think that should have been a separate bill. That should have been a separate debate altogether. And the government was right in rejecting that as part of the price they had to pay to get permission to change the date for the election. Now, here is a little different, because we have people who are eligible to vote, who are 18 years old, but our law is quite different from their law. Our law says that those people cannot be on the voter list until such a date. Now, whether or not the Legislative Assembly here has the power to do that, I don't know. But I think they could do that by a slight amendment under the elections law. Whether they could have slipped that in as part of this bill that they were before the Legislative Assembly is a different thing. But bearing in mind that we agree that the bill is unconstitutional, I don't think that would have fly either. That wouldn't have fly either, because if the bill is constitutional, everything in the bill would go down the line.
Okay, I see.
Would be gone.
Okay.
See? Okay. The other point that you made about the what was the other point you made again?
To allowing EU nationals to be able to vote. And before we go on that, I just want to point out that I felt that the UK parliamentarians who were debating that and talk about that they were so insensitive to the Commonwealth, because they use the fact that Commonwealth citizens in the UK are allowed to vote in UK elections, and comparing Commonwealth citizens to EU nationals resident in the UK, I believe that is a slap in the face, because what those insensitive UK parliamentarians fail to realize is that Commonwealth citizens are citizens of the Commonwealth because of the UK's colonial history and colonial legacy, where they invaded, captured, and colonized and imposed their values on other peoples, and as a result, to try to make amends and to seek forgiveness, they now call them a part of the Commonwealth.
Yes.
And not realizing why they are Commonwealth, and to compare them to your EU citizens, I believe, was a slap in the face.
Well, that you know the comparison that the comparison that the parallel that you draw there,
Mm-hmm.
and you're right. When you open remarks, it would be the same as if we would allow people who are on work permits
Mm-hmm.
and people who only have permanent residence in the island. They do not have Cayman status yet. They do not have anything that ties them permanently to the Cayman Islands. I mean, when I say permanent, I mean citizenship-wise. Although we use that as a colloquial.
Yes.
Okay. It would be the same as if they would. Our legislature would try to say that all of those people who are in work permits here should be able to vote in our election. It would be a similar slap in the face if they would try to bring that into the legislature and say that they should vote because they don't have any more power. They don't have any more right to be in the UK as citizens from the European on permits working as work permits have here to be in this country working. That's the parallel, and it seems to me that they were so insensitive, but you see what they were looking at is it's increasing the numbers, increasing the numbers.
And obviously, Doc, what they've also done, I'm sure that they've done their research and that there are polls indicating where those persons who are EU nationals, where their leaning is in relation to Brexit. I'm sure of that.
That's right. They would have wanted Britain to stay in to the
precisely
to the EU.
Precisely. Now, they as it relates to us here in the Cayman Islands, do you believe that the government should allow their members a conscience vote on this referendum bill?
Yes. This is a matter of national importance. And I think the opposition here is correct to say that the government does not have a national mandate to put through this project.
Mm-hmm.
The government might have had a mandate from their constituents, from this, like as you have just said, and I agree with you 100%. A mandate from their individual constituencies does not equate to a national mandate. If the government had won the majority of seats in the Legislative Assembly, then on the policy that they had gone to the polls on with to have a cruise port, then I would have backed down and say the government has a mandate to put it through. But the government had no mandate to put it through, even if it was on their manifesto. And it had been a policy of the government did not win the majority of the seats of the elected members of the Legislative Assembly in the last election. Remember that now. The government did not comply with Section 49 of the Constitution that says where a political party gains a majority of the seats of the elected members of the Legislative Assembly, the governor shall appoint as premier the elected members of the Assembly recommended. So that equates to the fact that to have a mandate, you have to have the majority of the seats in the Assembly. The political party would have to have that majority of seats in the Legislative Assembly. The Assembly is made up of a coalition, and even that is suspect because it does not equate with Section 49 of the Constitution, because it goes on to say if no political party gains such a majority or if no recommendation is made, government saying that the two of them, would make up the majority of the seats in the Legislative Assembly.
Yes.
And so, what happened now? The government does not have the mandate, even if they had it in their manifesto. It was not a national mandate from all of the constituencies. They did not have the majority of the constituencies voting for them on that mandate.
Mm-hmm.
And so, therefore, the government should now say to their front bench and their back bench, because this is a matter of national importance and it affects people's seats. It will affect people's seats coming the new election. We are going to release you from the whip, and we are going to allow you to vote for your conscience.
Mm-hmm. Doc, I want to thank you very much, for giving us this time. Again, for being so obliging as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after this short commercial break.
I'm starting my shopping early this year. What you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush. Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Saturday, November 30, just before Christmas. You, yes, you can be the grand prize winner of $40,000 with your Rotary Central Music Extravaganza ticket purchase of only $25. Win that grand prize of $40,000. Second prize of $4,000, 6 $1,000 prizes, and more. Yes, Saturday, November 30, the 24th Rotary Central Music Extravaganza, Royal Palms, West Bay Road from 7 p.m. Music by Sugar Daddy, C&B, Leslie Duran, and Trio Caribe. Get your golden tickets now on sale through Rotary Central members, Rotary ticket sellers, and eventpro.ky. Every ticket funds a cause. Rotary Central, 50 community projects over 33 years. Your ticket can be the winner. Your ticket, your chance, your community. Rotary, connecting the world.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct? So, for all your insurance needs, call Fidelity Insurance. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity. We're good for you.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have another caller on hold, but before I go to that caller, very quickly, I want to wish a happy 104th birthday to Mrs. Stella Welcome of East End. She's celebrating her 104th birthday today. Miss Stella, I want to wish you a very, very happy birthday, and that's coming from all of the Cayman Islands, all here at Radio Cayman as well. Enjoy your day. God bless. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Hey, morning, Mr. O'C. Johan Moxham. How's it going?
I'm fine, Mr. Moxham.
I thought I'd ride shotgun with you whilst I'm stuck in traffic.
Good.
You're missing the two amigos this morning, or the three amigos. What happened to them this morning?
No, actually today was Mr. Miller was scheduled to be on, but I know the LA went on late last night, and I didn't get any advance warning. Okay. So as a result of that, it was a little bit late. But as you see, I have been able to utilize Dr. Steve McField remotely, and Miss Teresa, has called in as well.
No, and again, I've said it before, but I think the dynamic of when you're there and you've got people with you, sparring with you and highlighting points, I think it really does the country a good service because it's a back and forth and it's a pro and con sort of debate that helps to educate the public. And I just want to thank you for when you have them on, because I think they do a fantastic job and they lend a lot to the entire program. Having said that, it's so interesting, and I heard when Dr. Steve called in, I don't know how to say this, but perhaps if the three of you came from the right sides of the track and looked a little bit differently, somebody somewhere would listen to you, because you guys had a conversation somewhere between 6-7 months ago, and it happened 2 or 3 times where the same questions had been asked, and here we are on October the 29th, October the 30th, where we went and got a legal opinion effectively asking the same questions that were the genesis, in my mind, came from conversations on this show. So I'm not sure why nobody put stock into what local technocrats and professionals were saying, because as a former election supervisor, cabinet member, and immigration sort of chief, your CV speaks for itself. And anybody that discounts Dr. Steve and Ms. Teresa, they really don't understand the depth of their knowledge and just how strong they are as professionals, but also as concerned citizens. Having said all of that, wouldn't it be great if we as a country were to get to the stage where the voice of our people mattered, whether it be on a radio show, a talk show, 3 experts in a room talking about these sort of things, so that you could avoid these sort of eventualities? Because, believe it or not, for me, had the government, and again, this isn't to take shots at anybody, but you can't write 7 letters to the cabinet, to the premier, and not have any sort of acknowledgement at all. That just reeks of unprofessionalism, arrogance, and I don't need to answer to anybody. And that is just unacceptable for people that get paid via the public purse. Now, if this is your personal business, knock yourself out. You don't have to take my calls. You need to answer anything from me.
Right.
But if you are a paid public official and you are in the highest office of this land and you deliberately choose to ignore consistent, respectful, professional letters and correspondence from your constituents and from concerned citizens, whether it be 5 people, 50 people, or 500 or 5,000, we are where we are in the country because of that level of arrogance. All of this never needed to happen if there had been transparency and information and just respectful dialogue along the way. But I'll say all of this. A legal opinion probably wouldn't have gotten drafted or requested had they addressed or just taken on board conversations that emanated right there in your studio with you, Dr. Steve, Ms. Teresa, Miss Mary, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So it's just funny how you get to the stage where the government are having to go back to square one because the government think that they're the only ones that can read or have the resources to understand. These are fair, legitimate questions that are being asked of them, and the arrogance of the collective is what causes them to duplicate efforts, waste time, but more importantly, waste public funds on things that could easily be addressed, because there needn't have been a people's initiated referendum. There needn't be the existence of a CPR had concerned citizens felt that their representations were acknowledged, respected, and appropriately dealt with in a manner befitting of individuals elected to the highest office in the country.
Yeah. Mr. Markson, if I can interrupt for a second. Based on what was done in the Legislative Assembly yesterday evening or last night, I don't know if you can speak on behalf of the CPR or voice simply your own views on it, but do you feel that the matter, the way that it is being addressed now, will be sufficient for any possible legal action to be, at this point in time, to be shelved?
I think the responsible thing to say is, at this point, I haven't seen anything definitive in writing from any official capacity, so therefore it would be premature of me to say I agree with this or I agree with that.
But are you likely to see that? Because the debate is now taking place in the Legislative Assembly, so it is the legislature now that is taking the move. Unless someone, what they would write back to you and say, now your concerns are being addressed in the Legislative Assembly. So
no, fair enough. But the reason why I say that is I listened to the Attorney General speak, and he spoke at length. But he addressed the sort of provisions that would need amendments for the dead people to be taken off of the register and so on and so forth.
And I don't think you need. I don't think you really need amendments to that. I don't know if they listen. You listened early, but there are people who possibly will be deceased even after those amendments are made. So you can't continue to go back and amend for every dead person. The way for that to be done is for the names to be. A line to be crossed through them on the official register of electors that are being used at every polling station, so that all persons, including the observers, know that those persons are deceased.
No,
what they may need to put in the legislation is how do you tabulate the 50% plus one based on what numbers, which would not be the number that is reflected on the official register of electors, but the number that is arrived at after you take into account those persons who are deceased.
No, I think that's a fair sort of interim solution or a suggestion. Hopefully somebody's listening. But I think the bigger issue is there's 220 Caymanians that are being disenfranchised that aren't making it onto the list. And if we're going to go through a process of where we're taking a look at everything, those 220 people have to make the list. Whether you're moving the date back in order to accommodate them or you're showing real leadership because the government have the power and they have the majority to ensure that those 220 Caymanians are not disenfranchised. So that is the short answer to me. But I would say we are going to be consulting with our legal counsel. As you can tell, we put a lot of thought and effort and sort of reasoning behind the decisions that we make, and we try to come across in a respectful manner. If you look at the correspondences and so on and so forth. Yes. But I think what has happened is there's a fundamental breakdown in the trust between the citizenship and the people that are elected to represent the citizenship. Because what CPR are lobbying and advocating for is no different from the concerns expressed by the Premier in his letter to previous Governor Duncan Taylor of July 17, 2012. It is a mirror image of what his concerns were when he was the leader of the opposition. He is now the Premier of the country with a majority vote in the House, and he could easily, and his cabinet could easily address these issues and avoid all of the potential legal wranglings if they were to utilize that. But they would prefer a fight, and now we're here to say we are going to do whatever it takes to ensure that the democratic process and participatory democracy wins out at the end of the day, because that's what this is about. This is about citizens coming together, galvanizing, going, we want to have our say, we will get our say, but there's a way that we do it, and I would personally encourage the Premier, every member of Cabinet, and every member of the government backbench, whatever their views of me personally are, is indifferent to the fact that, listen, we can save ourselves a lot of time, effort, and money by addressing our concerns, which are a direct mirror image and reflection of the concerns expressed by the Honourable Alden McLaughlin when he was the leader of the opposition. Those two letters were tabled by the current leader of the opposition, Arden McLean, and it called out the level of hypocrisy and concern. But we can move away from all of that and get to the referendum if he, now in a position of influence and power, were to do the right thing, the same things that he complained about that McKeeva Bush did when he was the Premier, the current Premier is doing, and that is the crux of the matter, and that's where the thing will all go away once those issues are addressed. So I'm going to leave you there and keep listening to you. Have a great day.
Before you go, just one question. In relation to the date set for the referendum, is there any room for negotiation on that, or that's going to be one of the sticking points still? Oh, I think he's gone. Folks, top of the hour, 9 o'clock, headline news. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only two species that we have, on the island.
Your voice, your choice.
for today's biggest news. Access.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
The Employment Services and Training and Development Services offered by Workforce Opportunities in Residency Cayman are ready to welcome customers to their new location at Apollo House West on Mary Street. Over the past few months, the building, formerly known as Walker's House, was under construction to be outfitted for its new residents. Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives have published a resolution setting out the next steps in their impeachment efforts against President Donald Trump. The motion sets out a more public phase of the inquiry and hands the lead role in hearings to the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff. The House, controlled by the Democrats, will vote on the measure on Thursday. And Australia has used a so-called backpacker tax to illegally tax foreign workers from 8 countries, according to a landmark ruling. In 2017, the government imposed a controversial 15% tax rate on 2 visa categories for working holidaymakers. But a court on Wednesday found the levy was in breach of existing treaties with the UK, US, Germany, Finland, Chile, Japan, Norway, and Turkey. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
For the record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio, so the phone lines are open. You heard, had a conversation with Ms. Teresa Pitcairn, who called in on her own initiative. And then I had arranged to call Dr. Steve Macfield and have him on. And not a bad idea. You know, Ms. Susan, you know, we change the dynamics of the show a little bit. We don't necessarily have to have people in the studio all the time. We can contact them, do like what they do on CNN and MSNBC. You have them up on the screen, their picture up on the screen. We're talking to them by phone, getting their viewpoints and stuff like that. The only thing is that we're so fortunate here in the Cayman Islands that we utilize the people's expertise in certain fields, and we get a lot of the information that we get it for free. We get it for free. Of course, when it comes to the larger audience and the advertising pool and all of that, those television stations and stuff like that certainly have much more resources. But it would be good if we could have people like a Dr. Steve Macfield, Miss Mary Lawrence, Miss Teresa Pitcairn, Mr. Johan Moxham, and Mr. Gilbert McLean, all people who we can, when there's a particular topic, Mr. Roy Bodden, when there's a particular issue, a particular topic, we get them on the phone, we have the interview on the phone with them. This way, they don't necessarily have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to be in the studio. So we may look towards doing that here on For the Record, changing the format somewhat. We have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning. We'll see how you're doing.
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, apologies for not making it in this morning.
That's okay. That's okay.
At the LA last night trying to earn that big salary that everybody thinks.
No, I understand. I understand.
But I really would like to comment on the problems with the referendum bill and what my belief is the root cause of all the problems.
Okay.
The problem with the current referendum bill is because of the lack of the overarching referendum legislation not put in place. And there's no excuse for all of these years, 10 years, that any successive governments have not drafted a proper referendum law, which would set all of these guidelines. You would have all of this stuff that is undecided, would be known to everybody, and we could have better participatory democracy. But the underlying problem is the election law. The election law is simply outdated. There are fundamental flaws in the election law that prohibit Caymanians from exercising their right to vote. And I have advocated consistently from 2009, begging the government through private members' motion, through debate, through questions, to let's form a select committee of the House where we can hear, take evidence from members of the public, interested citizens, and completely overhaul the election law.
Yes.
You would be aware that the election office, through its supervisor, and the observers that we have brought to this country for the last 3 or 4 elections have all issued reports begging and insisting and suggesting that we make certain amendments to the election law.
Correct.
One of the most fundamental things is the need to have an independent electoral commission, and not run by the governor who appoints a civil servant to do it. But this is the issue, and I'm asking public to know. I'm asking the Honorable Premier, now that we've got ourselves in all of this mess, and we're fighting to find a way out of it legally that satisfies everybody, the government, the concerned citizens, and the general public, please, let's make it a priority for 2020 that within the first 3 months of the year, we will set up a select committee of all members of the House. We will have public hearings where any member of the public can come to the Legislative Assembly in the big committee room or in the open Legislative Assembly, because I would also advocate that those public hearings should not be in camera, in secret.
Yes.
I would like to see those public hearings broadcast from the floor of the Assembly so that the public understands, one, what we're trying to achieve, how is the best possible way to achieve it, and what the end result is, so that when we come out with a new election law, we not only have the support of the government, whose modus operandi is that they draft legislation, 40, 50 pages, 100 clauses, up at the government administration building, put it in a gazette that nobody knows reads, and bring it down to the LA and say, Mr. Miller, as an independent member, I need you to support this bill. No information of what they're trying to do, why they're trying to do it, how they arrive at this position, but that's what we need to do with the election law. And if we do it in the first 3 months of next year, everybody will have ample opportunity and time to study the new law, become familiar with the new law, because the election is still a year away.
Mr. Miller, if I can interrupt you.
To be caught up in electioneering.
Yeah. If I can interrupt you for a second, and you speak to a committee of the whole House, do you think that a smaller committee initially to look at it, and then you go to the wider House, as a select committee of the whole House, that things would be done much more expeditiously and more efficiently rather than having all of the House members involved in it initially?
I want everybody involved in it, because you don't want anybody to feel slighted, and you don't want anybody to have the excuse, as some people are now having about the Constitution, that I wasn't involved. And all it takes is a good chairman, a chairman who knows how to manage a committee meeting, right? We have an agenda. We stick to the agenda, and use the rules that exist for the debate on the standing orders.
And in this case, I believe the Attorney General would be...
You can speak once. You can't speak 10 times. And this is the way, but you are aware, this is the way we used to do things quite successfully in the past of all major legislation. The 80s, when we did labor legislation, when we did immigration legislation, as an example, that's what we did.
Well, but one of the immigration legislation, we actually had a committee that was comprised of, I think, Mr. Ralston Anglin, Mr. Gilbert McLean, the current Premier, Honourable Alden McLaughlin, Ms. Shara Borden was a chair of it, and I don't want to run the risk of missing other people. I was part of it as the Chief Immigration Officer, and that committee basically dealt with the legislation. The chairperson sat with the legislative drafting, and you came up with a bill that eventually went to cabinet and to the Legislative Assembly. Something similar, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite easy to have the legislative drafting represented in all of these hearings because it is essential for them to get a good fundamental grounding in what the consensus is of what we're trying to achieve.
Yes.
And if you do things this way, and you make public announcements and say, listen, call and make an appointment to come and see, and nobody can complain then. The citizen must take the opportunity when given so, right?
Yes.
And not just leave it to the special interest.
And they will. People will take the opportunity.
Right. On this whole port debate, right? Exclude CPR. They are being accused that they are representing certain special interests. But if they are representing certain special interests, their special interest that is that they're I don't agree with that accusation, by the way. But the government is using people with special interests in the industry and every single ad that they have out. And we need to give an opportunity for the wider community. We can't rely any longer on members getting a sense of what's going on in the constituency. The only person that has beaten public regular is me. Everybody else can have it, but they don't do it. But if you provide a forum in the Legislative Assembly, which is properly structured under the rules of standing order, if you hear the evidence from all the bodies given an opportunity, the public will believe and will have the opportunity, and not only believe, but they will be a part of the drafting of the legislation for the next election.
Okay. And you believe that this needs to be done before the next election? There's still time to do so.
This whole 3-month delay in registering people and all that is all garbage. We're way beyond that now. I mean, why do we have to go through this thing? You publish all this in the paper, people to object, etc. Listen, either qualified or you're not.
Okay.
And you fill in the application form, you tick the boxes, you put on the list. And this business about 400 days and all that thing to come with the law.
Now, in relation to what the AG suggested, and that I think it was pointed out that the issue of dead persons being on the register, the names of dead persons being on the register, will be addressed as well. Like I've pointed out before, that there are procedures in place to ensure that the persons who are deemed to be deceased, that's indicated on the official register of electors. What I believe needs to be addressed in this referendum bill is the tabulation process. How do you determine the 50% plus one in relation to not the number of on the official register of electors, but the number of eligible persons, because a deceased person would not be an eligible person and should not be counted in that 20,000 whatever number.
But see here again, why do we need all this duplication and take so long to get anything done? Agency in this country that gives somebody a death certificate is the Records and Registry. That's an official government body. You can tell me, as a magistrate, to look at a death certificate and say the person did.
And
they can't, why you going through all that process? The new election law should give the supervisor of elections the authority to remove any person who the Records and Registry Officer certifies as being dead from the registry.
And the law as it stands now, requires the Register of Births and Deaths to provide that information to the supervisor of elections.
Elections don't have the authority under the law.
Exactly.
That has to go through this review by some magistrate who's completely outside the process. Makes no sense. And what we need is, don't let's get started about campaign finance. Right? I mean, one of the things, my concern here is, again, we're setting up this referendum legislation, and the Attorney General is telling us, well, it's too difficult, too short a time to come up with a formula for expenses. And the government has $60 million in reserve they can spend to promote it.
Well, not only election expenses, but if we don't want to find ourselves behind the 8 ball, we need to address the whole issue of advertising and social media as well, because we're not too far from Cambridge Analytica being here in the Cayman Islands and having some effect on our elections as well. We're not far away from that.
The idea that I can spend $2 million to get elected in Northside prior to nomination and they not give account of it is ludicrous. So anyway, that's just we need electoral reform. We need it urgency. I'm publicly begging the Premier. So when we got a budget debate coming up, let's have the committee at that time. And then if he doesn't do it, I may have to do it by private member's motion. Try and get it done again one more time.
And while I have you there, Mr. Miller, just and this is almost like a rhetorical question, but there is no way in our legislative process, or is there a way in our legislative process for an amendment to be attached to this referendum bill that calls for a complete review of the elections law?
No, that would probably be, the Speaker probably wouldn't allow that because it would be outside of the aims and objectives of this law. And there's certain guidelines that apply to that, that kind of stuff.
But, okay, I can understand the aims and objectives, even though it's the subject matter to a certain extent is there. The elections law is one of the things that is being addressed. I'm just listening.
I don't understand. There's certain sections of the election law that I agree can be avoided, right? But my position is that we shouldn't have a schedule that cherry picks what an election law applies to the bill. The whole election law to apply the bill. The fact that you don't have to nominate candidates is irrelevant. So it doesn't apply. You don't need to have a schedule, and then so it needs to be. But we need the answer, the fundamental answer, and the fundamental question is we need electoral reform in this country.
We certainly do. One of the things that I found, before I go, one more thing. One of the things I found ironic is that one of the members of the Legislative Assembly during the debate and calling for the 200 plus voters to be added on, and they were calling for the cabinet to be able to do that or to do that in the regulations. But at the same time, prior to that, another legislator had decried and criticized the ability for the government to make regulations in relation to the elections law. I found that to be so hypocritical.
And this referendum law, in my view, should in no way attempt to alter the election law. The election law needs to be changed.
Yes.
And that there should be a section in the election law that specifically refers to referendums and the conduct thereof.
Right.
In addition to a proper referendum law.
Yes. Agree.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. All the best. We'll continue to listen to you guys in the Legislative Assembly. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly. When we come back, I will talk a little bit, shift gears. The whole issue of foreclosures in the Cayman Islands was topical for a while. We don't hear a whole lot about it now, whether or not those foreclosures are still continuing. But let's look and see what's happening in Bermuda, what the Bermudan government is doing in relation to monitor foreclosures. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
The government claims the cruise berthing facility won't cost us a penny. It will be paid for by the cruise passenger who use it, not by our people or our government.
The fact is, you will be paying.
Because government is going to give the consortium development team, led by Royal Caribbean and Carnival, a portion of the cruise revenue that is currently being banked by government.
What's more, we will be repaying them
$450 million.
$250 million more
than what the facility even costs.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
Feed Our Future is pleased to present
the annual Island Roast
at the Beach Deck at Seafire. It's all going down Saturday, November 2nd. Help to raise funds to feed Cayman's youth and take in delicious Caribbean plates by the top island chefs with performances by Selecta Renegade, Steel Pan with Michael LeMay, and Flow Motion. All-inclusive drink and meal tickets. $175 CI. Available at eventpro.ky. Yes, the annual Island Roast, Saturday, November 2nd at the Seafire. Feed Our Future, solving childhood hunger.
Always ensure that food preparation utensils are washed with a strong detergent and rinsed in hot water in the event that they have made contact with flood water. Boil silverware for 10 minutes and immerse glass, porcelain, china, and plastic items in a solution of hot water and 10% chlorine bleach before use. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. One of our listeners has written in and said, good morning. Regarding being registered on the electoral register, should adults of the age of 18 not automatically be registered, provided they meet the definition of being eligible to vote? This would allow all to participate or not participate in a democratic way by voting or not voting, and the electoral mandate would be given to those individuals that actually participated. Just a thought. Well, that is not just a thought. That is a good thought in terms of when you reach age 18. Now, whether or not it should be automatically an automatic registration may be a difficult hurdle to get over, simply because of the requirements that exist in our Constitution in relation to a person, the qualities that a person has to have in order to be eligible to be registered as an elector. So there would have to be one body that makes that determination. Now, suggestions that have been made in the past, when there were challenges in terms of getting young people to register, we've always pointed out, and others have pointed out as well, that one of the first things that a young person, especially in the Cayman Islands these days with the availability of automobiles, is that you reach 17 and you want to get that driver's license. That's an opportunity there for you when you're applying for your driver's license to also put in your application to be registered as a voter when you reach age 18. That would give the election officials an opportunity to look at your application, determine whether or not you're qualified or will be qualified, and to get that early registration. Again, something that could be addressed in any new election law that we have that we may have in place at that point in time. So we provide varying points where a person can register as an elector. Fill out an application form. Those application forms would be collected by registering officers to look at a person's qualifications. So yes, it is possible. And we do know that as we speak, in the current legislation that we have, if you are going to turn age 18 before election day, you are allowed to be registered to ensure that your name appears on the official register that is going to be used on that particular election date. So if you're going to turn 18 before election day, you can pre-register. So that is in place. So there's been some forward thinking in that regard. But in the Cayman Islands, for some reason, we have this tendency to take little small steps rather than taking the big leaps. Now, sometimes you know, people may argue, well, you take that big leap into the unknown, and then you really don't know what you're going to encounter. In this particular case, we can take that big leap because we know what to anticipate. You know, the Cayman Islands have had elections for. I have to use those old people saying now, from God knows when. We've been having elections in the Cayman Islands, so it's not something that we don't know. You hear legislators, those persons like Mr. Miller, Mr. McLean, the Premier, Dr. Steve Macfield, Mr. Gilbert McLean, Mr. Roy Borden, everyone who's been involved in the electoral process, even before some of them, even before they could vote, know about the whole system. So we have sufficient expertise here in the Cayman Islands that we can take that giant leap forward. And that giant leap needs to include the establishment of an electoral commission for the Cayman Islands. Now, of course, an electoral commission means that the members of that commission will have to be appointed. They no doubt will end up being political appointees, but they should be the type of political appointees who will be able to take their political affiliations, their political leanings, and set them to one side and do the work of the commission, and not at the bidding of the persons, the individuals, the party that may have appointed them to that commission as well. Okay, so I promised you we were going to shift gears and talk about foreclosures. We don't hear a whole lot about it in the Cayman Islands anymore, and I hope that is because the number of foreclosures have been reduced, and I would venture to say that the situation probably hasn't been resolved. But in Bermuda, there is an article in the Royal Gazette written by a journalist by the name of Jonathan Bell, dated the 30th of October 2019, and it reads, hundreds of people facing losing their homes through repossession by banks, a government backbencher warned last night. Michael Scott, a lawyer and Sandys North MP, said there should be an assessment of how many distressed properties exist in our country. Mr. Scott was speaking after David Burt, the Premier, vowed on Monday night at a PLP delegate convention to set up a government watchdog for house repossessions. Mr. Burt delivered the Progressive Labour Party's agenda for the next year of legislation at the opening night of the conference. The Premier highlighted the plight of a 72-year-old woman made homeless after her house was repossessed. Mr. Scott, who is representing the woman, said he was unable to comment on the specifics of the case as it was still before the courts. But he added, the rules in the courts for foreclosure are Dickensian, right? And therefore, I will welcome the Premier's promised reform. So the rules in the court go back to the age of Dickens, way back, and they need to be reformed. He promised rules that will require alternative actions if a foreclosure will make homeowners homeless. Mr. Burt told the audience at St. Paul's AME Centennial Hall that the case, which involved a PLP member, had been brought to his attention by Mr. Scott earlier this year. Banks bore the brunt of criticism in Mr. Burt's speech. Something that we see here in the Cayman Islands as well. Some of the banks, sometimes they bear the brunt of the criticism. Sometimes people are hesitant, reluctant to criticize banks because they themselves may have mortgages with those financial institutions and are fearful of the risk of their loans being recalled at any point in time. So here they say banks bore the brunt of the criticism in Mr. Burt's speech, although Mr. Scott and non-traditional lenders, Mr. Scott said non-traditional lenders, including insurance companies, were also involved in real estate finance. And then a senator and a shadow finance minister who was in the audience said that the speech was long on rhetoric and short on detail. So they want more detail. This was an opposition member who's a shadow minister of finance who commented on the premier's speech and his present. He added that it's great to ensure that foreclosures is not abused. That's worthy of merit. He goes on to say, you don't want to hear those stories from back in the day of lawyers and banks trying to get homes from people on the cheap, which have been accusations that have been made here in the Cayman Islands as well. Some people have seen foreclosures as lawyers, real estate agents, and banks, and some of them may have even referred to it as in times as being collusion. He goes on to say, but there is a difference between that and government telling banks they can't foreclose when people have been wholly unable to service their debts. So this is one gentleman who's coming to the defense of the banks. But we continuously hear those in the financial industry saying that banks don't want to own properties. They don't like the idea of owning properties. There are others who will say that if you find yourself in financial difficulty, don't wait until you reach the dead end or the bottom of the pit to go to your financial institution and try to find a solution to your problem, that you should do that early as well. So there needs to be dialogue between the banks and the lenders as well to see whether or not an amicable solution can be arrived at that basically satisfied the lender as well as the borrower. Bearing in mind that banks have fiduciary responsibilities as well. They have a responsibility to their shareholders to ensure that their money is well spent and that their money can be recouped as well. So that is the case. So one of the legislators said that he would wait until Parliament reconvened to hear more details on the government's plans. And we will continue to monitor it here as well to see what type of solution Bermuda arrives at in this regard, because we have to be vigilant, we have to be mindful here in the Cayman Islands as well. We see where the International Monetary Fund has predicted that the Caribbean will experience a slowdown in growth. And I hope I can find that article for you in the Jamaica Gleaner. It was in yesterday's Gleaner, because I think that sends a warning to us here in the Cayman Islands as well. We don't want a repeat of 2008 when it comes to the economic slowdown. We have to take a commercial break. I've gone way past it, and we have a caller on hold. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you. I'm starting my shopping early this year. What you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush. Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Congratulations, I hear the family is expanding.
Yes, our family is growing bigger, but I don't know how we're going to get around. Our old car just doesn't have enough room.
You should head over to Vamp Motors and ask about the Toyota Rush. It's a 7-seater SUV with lots of room and safety features, and it's on sale for just $21,900.
Rush in to Vamp Motors for the best deal of the year on the Toyota Rush SUV. Save up to $2,600 with Vamp cashback and the Toyota factory rebate going on right now. Fuel efficient, stylish, roomy, and loaded with safety features. The Rush is the perfect SUV for you and your family, starting from just $21,900. Visit Vamp Motors and drive your deal home today while stock lasts.
Are you one of the pensioners on island at risk of having their monthly payments stopped? The Public Service Pension Boards would like to remind its pensioners that their annual pension continuation certificates, PCCCs, have been distributed through the mail. To ensure continuity of benefits, please return your PCCC by December 31st, 2019. If you have not received your PCCC form, please stop by the Public Service Pension Board's Grand Cayman office, located on the first floor of the Government Administration Building, or the Cayman BRAC office, located at number 5 Dennis Foster Road, to address this matter. If you are a shut-in or have care or control over a pensioner who is unable to be transported to the Public Service Pension Board office, please call the Cayman office at 945-8175 or the Cayman BRAC office at 948-2544 for special assistance.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have a caller on hold. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Jose. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Good, man. I just wanted to touch on two things quickly.
Sure.
One, first of all, was, I was reading the Tuesdays, because I read the paper late sometime, but Tuesdays paper, it said it had an article in there about the Calypso Cowboy. And they had suspended his sentence for, whatever. Now, I know you remember that some time ago, I think it was this older couple that was up in Georgetown, living in Georgetown. I don't remember exactly where it was, but some guy broke into their house. And the old guy, when he caught him, and he was running and he shot him. I think the guy died.
I think he was coming through a window, but he also may have had a weapon on him.
Yeah. So he's coming in to do this now. In this case with the Calypso Cowboy, the guy gets inside the house, and I don't remember whether if he had a weapon or what, but he was the guy that he went to court for, because he had the only thing he had to defend himself, I guess, was a machete.
Mm-hmm. And
he was threatening the guy, and the guy was, right. But then they wanted to charge this guy they charged the cowboy with, all this stuff. And then finally they had pity on him. He had to pay $7,000 to this infidel that came through the window or came in his house and stuff.
I think that the payment there was something that he volunteered with the plea bargaining. But I think what needs to be recognized is that the the charges were brought because they felt that his response to finding his vehicle burglarized and everything, the response was excessive, was in excess of what was necessary. And that was why the charges were brought.
Yeah, but I thought this guy had come into his house.
No, I believe it was in his vehicle. Vehicle.
Okay. All right. Okay, but that one, I'll just leave that there. But the other one, small article under the news at the upper left-hand corner of the paper, page 4. It's all hospital upgrades set to begin.
In relation to the AC, I believe?
Well, it says what it says here, the Health Services Authority will begin rolling out its plans to upgrade and modernize the Cayman Islands Hospital next month.
Mm-hmm.
It mentioned something about the upgrading of the air conditioning compressors or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there's nothing in this article about who the contractor was, what was the bid on the contract, or anything like that. But they already got. This is in the HSA said that the cost of the first phase of the chiller replacement project is more than $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see, these are the things that bothers me in Cayman. They go and then they said, further down in the thing, it says that this is going to be a multi-year contract. Now, they know all of this information, but yet there's no mention of who's going to be doing this.
I think the name of the company that was going to be involved in the air conditioning part of it is named in, if it wasn't in the article, it was in the press release.
Yeah, it's not in the article.
And I don't want to venture the name to mention the name because I may get it incorrectly because I don't have the article in front of me, but I do know that that name was mentioned.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if the air conditioning guy I understand it, but it says that it will be to modernize it. Talks of goes on to say they were going to do renovation in the rooms and all this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I would think that you would have the name of the contractor who got the contract.
Well, maybe it's not a sole contractor, but various aspects of it will be contracted out to various entities. Not sure.
Yeah.
I'm just speculating.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And then they said in the piece there about the chillers, it said, the HSA said the cost of the first phase of the chiller restoration replacement project is more than $500,000. If they knew how much it was, why didn't they just put it in there? Why didn't it 500,000, 600, whatever? I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical because I see the things that happen here when these contracts and they go on, and you know how when I look at the high school up there in Georgetown, I think that the article some time ago said it was $54 million they had spent on it. They then comes back now and get ready to do it again. Now they're going to do that and the hospital approximately going to be at the same time because they get ready to do this now. And this thing, according to the paper, the article in the paper, is a multi-year. So it's going to be something that's going for some time.
Span a few years, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, and these are the things that bother me. And no, the thing that gets me is money is spent, millions, and I keep repeating this one. The Clifton Hanna High School that was supposed to be $50 million wound up being $110 million. That's $60 million over the estimate. And nobody comes back and says, this is why it was done or what it is. There was no explanation to the people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They say nobody came back to the people and said, this is what it is. And these are the things that really bother me about Cayman and this way we do things in the government, because they spend money on these things and nobody is accountable. And I can guarantee you that I've done, where I lived in the United States of America, I did schools. I did one of the best schools in Dallas, Texas. And I can tell you that people want to know the costing and stuff like that. And when you I don't know, OC. I'm worried about Cayman. And as you mentioned a while ago about this, the possibility, I've been reading about these things, the possibility of a recession in 2020. And
slow growth.
Not just in the United States, They say this will be a worldwide something. And you can see with all the stuff that's going on now up in Europe, up in Great Britain, the United States, and South America, and everybody's having, God help us. I pray to God every day, OC. I pray to God. We need to get back on track somehow, and I'm worried about Cayman.
Okay, caller, thank you very much. We have to go to our last commercial break for the morning, folks. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Saturday, November 30, just before Christmas. You, yes, you can be the grand prize winner of $40,000 with your Rotary Central Music Extravaganza ticket purchase of only $25. Win that grand prize of $40,000. Second prize of $4,000, 6 $1,000 prizes, and more. Yes, Saturday, November 30, the 24th Rotary Central Music Extravaganza, Royal Palms, West Bay Road from 7 p.m. Music by Sugar Daddy, C&B, Leslie Duran, and Trio Caribe. Get your golden tickets now on sale through Rotary Central members, Rotary ticket sellers, and eventpro.ky. Every ticket funds a cause. Rotary Central, 50 community projects over 33 years. Your ticket can be the winner. Your ticket, your chance, your community. Rotary, connecting the world.
Saturday, November 2nd, Breeze Fusion 2019.
Are you ready? Yeah. The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run. Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCBO.
Yes, Cayman Islands, it's back. Your chance to be healthy. Your chance to give back.
Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studio.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Saturday, November 2nd.
I like to move it. You like to move it. The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Taking place at Smith Bacadere, starting at 6:15 a.m.
Are you one of the pensioners on island at risk of having their monthly payments stopped? The Public Service Pension Boards would like to remind its pensioners that their annual pension continuation certificates, PCCCs, have been distributed through the mail. To ensure continuity of benefits, please return your PCCC by December 31st, 2019. If you have not received your PCCC form, please stop by the Public Service Pension Board's Grand Cayman office, located on the first floor of the Government Administration Building, or the Cayman BRAC office, located at number 5 Dennis Foster Road, to address this matter. If you are a shut-in or have care or control over a pensioner who is unable to be transported to the Public Service Pension Board office, please call the Cayman office at 945-8175 or the Cayman BRAC office at 948-2544 for special assistance.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning. Here on For the Record, I promised that I would share with you, if I could find it, and I did, an article in yesterday's Jamaica Gleaner. IMF warns of economic growth slowdown in Latin America and the Caribbean. And they go on to say that the International Monetary Fund, IMF, says growth in Latin America and the Caribbean is slowing down and that the region is expected to record a 0.2% growth this year. 0.2. So it's 0.2 of 1%. 2% of 1%. 0.2. Yep. 0.2%. We may have a caller that will call in as well. Someone promised that they would call in. Washington-based international financial institutions say that the low growth comes amid continued trade tensions. Lower growth global growth, subdued commodity prices, and in some large regional economies, high policy uncertainty as well. We have a caller, so 2 callers. I'll be unable to go further with this. We're going to take the 2 callers that we have. Hopefully we can accommodate both. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning, sir. Thanks for calling in.
As promised, I promised you I would call. First of all, let me publicly wish Miss Stella welcome niece and happy birthday today.
Mm-hmm.
She's 104 today.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I didn't hear all of your show, but I heard the part surrounding the registration and the removal of deceased persons from the electors list.
Right.
One of the things, and you're right, and Mr. Miller was on there too. I heard a little piece of his about commission. You know, he and I have been calling for this for a very long time.
Certainly, yes.
And a reform election law. And I'm looking forward to us doing that at some stage. But you know, we have been very lax in promulgating new legislation and an amendment to essential legislation in this country. One of the things the Attorney General announced last night, they're going to do an amendment to the section of the law, Section 19 of the election law, to allow the supervisor permission to strike those names. When what Section 19 is an instruction for the registrar to notify the supervisor of election within the first 10 days of the month, those people who were born in the previous month,
right,
and those people who had deceased. But the supervisor can't strike it off. He needs to go to the magistrate. So these are some of the things that we need to do a reform on the law, particularly in those areas wherein if you're dead, you're dead. The supervisor should be able to strike those off. If you have deceased, you have deceased. You're no longer here and eligible. It shouldn't have to go to the magistrate, okay? But what is instructive there also, OC, is that the registrar of births and deaths also needs to notify him of those who came of age within the last month. Now, there may be some argument as to compulsory registration. Now, I understand and I know where you're going to go. See, the fact that you're born Cayman does not mean that you're Caymanian.
Precisely, yeah.
But certainly there are ways and means now of determining that by virtue of your birth certificate if your parents are Caymanian when they register you. It's no longer in the old days that was not represented.
But I don't believe the birth certificate indicates
it does now.
The nationality of the Cayman. It does say that the person is Cayman, the parent is Caymanian.
The parents, yeah. There has been a modification to the birth certificate.
Okay.
When you and I came into this world, it just had Lester McLean, Phyllis McLean, didn't know what their nationalities were.
I see.
But there has been some modification to that now, so it says what your nationality is.
Right.
You see? So there are easy ways of doing it. Now, there may be arguments against making it mandatory registration, you know? But it is mandatory registration for your birth, too. So I think we can get over that hump by saying, you know, as a citizen, you should be registered in whatever, throughout whatever there is to be identify you in this country.
Yeah. If I can interrupt you for a second, one of the challenges that the registering officers face in the elections office in relation to the deaths is that if a death occurs overseas, that death is not registered in the Cayman Islands.
Well,
So but those registering officers are certainly extremely vigilant, because they will scour through the newspapers, especially the Friday papers where the obituaries are and stuff. So they follow up on everything. So they're pretty good at it. When you hear people complain about the fact that the deceased persons are on the register of the electors, they're on there simply because they occurred after that register became official. But those registering officers are quite diligent.
I understand, and I know they're quite diligent. But the fact is, during a general election, it has no significance on the first past the post because they didn't go to vote.
Yeah.
So you mark
Yes.
them
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that the only reason you mark them off the register then is to ensure no one comes there and say that they're so and so when the person was dead.
Right.
Now, in this case, it is more significant to have them off.
Yeah, because they factor into that final number.
Right. They factor into that final number, and that 50% plus one. It's not fair to have 50 people haven't been deceased before they factor
and
in.
Counted, yeah.
Then you gotta get 26 of those as well.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So that's basically why it is more important right now. But I'm glad that the government is saying they're going to bring that provision, because those, our problem is we piecemealing the logical amendments to these laws, especially the election law, and we shouldn't be doing that. Every time a situation come up, we go and amend it. We should do a complete revamp of that entire law.
I agree.
And put our commission there. We must do that.
Yeah. Mr. McLean, I want to thank you very much for that. I want to try to see if I can accommodate the last caller before we go off the air. Thank you very much, sir. All the best in LA. We'll continue to listen to you.
Good.
Okay. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning to you, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Yeah, just fine, thank you. Since I know this is a very highly political topic, I am not running the political part. I just ask questions. Well, it's good to know that if maybe I wonder if this referendum hadn't come about, maybe all these issues wouldn't have become so pressing all of a sudden. But then, anyhow, that's the nature of politics. So anyway, is there any intent, therefore, as the Premier had said, that you would have to limit the time? There should be a limited time for a petition to be presented, whether it's 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year. It can't be an endless period.
Yeah.
That is very important, because it does interrupt. No one can deny that. The process of the sitting government getting things done. Whether you want to say it was on their manifesto, it was not on their manifesto. You can quibble that point forever, because that, again, is politics. Nothing but politics. And the second thing is this, that people must realize the referendum is not just some political carnival thing, because it has divided our people. There's no doubt about that. As nothing else, the divisiveness is rife now. And the people running for the referendum should not blame it on the government for that division. They brought it about. And it is, their responsibility a lot for that division. But that the other thing is this: shouldn't there be a time set on how many, or a period, how many of these referendum we could have in a term of elections? I guess the petition limit would sort of date that, or sort of indicate what it would be. But because it's important that people must realize that a referendum, in effect, takes away the responsibility of our elected representatives, because that's why we don't have 21,000 people getting up every minute and giving their opinion and telling you how to run the country.
It's considered to be a form of direct democracy.
Yes, it is a good thing to say, but people must understand that. It takes away. You can sit back and say, well, you did it by yourself. You said that you don't want this, and that is it. So I didn't have a say in it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, do. And hopefully,
those people.
Yep, and hopefully all of those those things that you raised there, that they will be incorporated into a full-fledged referendum law, a permanent referendum law. Caller, I want to thank you very much. We've reached that time of the day where we must close off on For the Record. I want to thank all of those who participated this morning as well. And folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. John Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.